Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. So, as per usual, for our Qur'an inspiration, what I'm going to do first is recite the ayat of the surah we're going to be talking about, and then the literal translation of the ayat, like literally, and then the last part is we're going to go into each ayat and talking about its correlation with our life, understanding it and implementing it, what lessons to take from it, inshallah. So, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. So the literal translation goes as follows. Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of mankind, the King of mankind, the God of mankind, from the mischief of the slinking prompter, who whispers in the hearts of mankind, from among jinn and mankind. So the very first ayah of the surah, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ. Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of mankind. What does refuge mean? The literal definition of refuge is a condition of being safe or sheltered from pursuit, danger, or trouble. And in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is commanding us what? Seek refuge in Him. And you're going to see this very commonly in the surahs. In the next 2 or 3 ayat are going to be talking, constantly seeking refuge. Where do you seek help from? Who do you reach out to when you're in danger? And that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because why? In the previous surah, remember last week when we talked about Surah Al-Fatiha, we talked about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Lord of all mankind. There's only one God. And part of understanding there's only one God. There's no other ilah. All sovereignty, all refuge belongs to Him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who controls everything in our lives. And a good quote from Sayyid Qutb in the Shade of the Qur'an, which I kind of base a lot of the whole session we talk about in the tafsir of the surahs. He says, for the Allah, He is He who preserves, directs, cherishes, and protects mankind. The sovereign is He who owns, governs, and independently runs the world. And Allah is the one who supersedes all other beings and supervises over all their affairs. And what the particular mention here in the ayah of mankind here pushes us to seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's protection and care. When we're in danger, when we're in a tough situation, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for help. We ask Him to be gracious and help us, give us mercy, all these kind of things. And you'll notice this a lot. Whenever you are in danger, you notice yourself, let me ask help from some greater power. Because you're put in a situation, you feel as if everything's around you is dark, right? You feel you're in a tough situation, and you realize the only way I can get help is from some otherworldly power, unhumane power, something that's beyond our limits. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you see a lot of people, when they are in a tough situation and they have a belief of Allah, they know what Allah is, they will call out, Allah help me, make dua. And this is the thing that not just when we're in a bad situation, but every time, anything we have, we should constantly seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And next ayah goes and says, Malik Nas, hitting the idea again, the King of mankind. So the person, the individual or the body that you're asking refuge for, what is he? He is also he's when you seek refuge in, but also He's the King of mankind. And the next ayah says, the God of mankind. Building the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making a person feel, after they already developed the idea in their head that they know for sure Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists, now it feels more pride, more conviction. You understand Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has these convictions, has these attributes, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has these attributes and He will provide these attributes. And He's the one at the best of these attributes. He's the King of mankind, the God of mankind, the person you seek refuge in, right? It builds on the idea. It builds on the idea that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Almighty. It builds on the idea that the person you're seeking help from, this is His attributes. He's not limited like us. He's not restricted like us. He has what? He's all powerful, all knowing, all merciful, the King of mankind. That's the person you're seeking refuge in. That's the thing that you're seeking refuge in. He's the person you're seeking refuge. So it gives you what? Conviction in your heart that I'm seeking refuge in the right thing. Will for sure, inshallah, with His will, I'll be helped. And if it's not to His liking, and if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't will it, it won't happen. It builds that idea, that attribute. And what's interesting, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this whole ayah, He's talking about seeking refuge in a tough situation, right? Now, what's interesting is that the next ayah, 4 through 6, talk about the nature of evil deeds and what pushes us to do evil deeds, and two, who pushes us to do these evil deeds, and then it reminds us and links back to the first 3 ayat and tells us what from these evil deeds and the people who are pushing you for these evil deeds, make sure you seek refuge in Allah. Remember that. And it'll make more sense as I read the next 3 ayat. من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. From the mischief of the slinking prompter. In that very first part, this mischief of the slinking prompter is what? Slinking here is not a really common word that we use, but I looked it up online, and it means to move smoothly and quietly with gliding steps in a stealthy or in a stealthy manner. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first doesn't tell you who it is, it tells you the nature of that mischief. The nature of it. What is it? From a slinking prompter. A person or something that comes secretly, without notice at all, and comes and pushes you to do certain things. Pushes you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, pushes you into mischief, puts you in a difficult situation, pushes you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's remembrance. What is the nature of that? It's something that does it stealthily, without you noticing, without you realizing. That's the nature of it. Right? And then the next 2 ayat, the next ayat talks about how it's done. And it says, who whispers in the hearts of mankind. This is how what? The jinn will talk to you, will secretly reach to you and push you to mischief, to bad deeds, to not the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the nature of it. It comes into the hearts of mankind. And slowly but surely, not right away, but slowly but surely you'll change. And for example, if someone you're a good Muslim, good devout Muslim, right? And if someone tells you right away, tell you to do a haram thing, you're gonna say, no, obviously I'm not gonna take it. If it comes all you at once. But slowly but surely, they work on it bit by bit. Your ideas get changed. Slowly but surely, your values change a little bit, right? And what happens? You slowly start to realize, rather than going to the haram right away, within a day, it takes a year, 2 years, 3 years, but eventually you reach that. It comes stealthily, without notice. And that's what changes, and it changes your heart. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then in the very last ayah tells us, who are these individuals, these things that are causing mischief through secretly and sneaking into our hearts, but also whisper in the hearts of mankind. Who are they? From among the jinn, but also what? And mankind. Both the jinn and the mankind are the things that will sneak into your heart and push you away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, put you in a tough situation. Which is very, very interesting. I mean, I'm going to go over really quickly on the jinn themselves. So, and this is an excerpt from Sayyid Qutb from the book as well. He says it very well. We do not know how the jinn perform this whispering, but we certainly find its repercussions in the behavior of individuals as well as in human life generally. We know for sure that the battle between Adam alayhi salam and Iblis is a very, very old one. We've heard the stories. And war between the two was declared by Shaitan out of what? Out of evil, the evil inherent in him, his arrogance, his conceit, envy, and resentment of what? Of humans, of man. And he was given Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's permission to carry out this battle against the humans. For what? For some purpose that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who knows why He allowed Shaitan to engage in this battle against us, right? But significantly, man has not been left alone, disposed of necessary means of protection. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us what we need to do from these whispers. But regardless, what Shaitan will reach out to you. He will come to you. He will attack you. His goal, he told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my goal is to take everyone away from you, from the remembrance of you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I know what I'm doing is wrong. And I know I will enter Jahannam, but my goal is to bring as much people with me to Jahannam as I can. That's his goal. And like the Prophet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, he does it sneakily, without notice. It comes into your heart. And another interesting thing is what now? The fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the very last ayahs didn't say just stop at jinn. Because commonly we know only bad things that can happen, push Muslim away is jinn. We always think of jinn, right? The jinn will push you away. The jinn will give you bad thoughts. But no, people that also whisper into your heart is not just jinn, but mankind as well. Your own peers around you. Humans are the main sources, actually, unfortunately, and honestly, sometimes more deceptive than we think it may be. Sayyid Qutb says this: as for humans, we know a great deal of their curious ways of whispering and prompting. Some types are more devilish than the devil himself, such as a bad companion who injects evil into his comrade's heart and mind while he is unaware, thinking that his friend is trustworthy. A ruler's counselor or advisor who whispers all sorts of evil thoughts to him, trying to turn him into a tyrant. An unscrupulous slanderer who fabricates and decorates tales to make them sound factual and convincing. Hustler of immoral business dealings who tries to get through to people by exploiting their desires, whatever desires they may be. And there are many different kinds of whispers that put us in that you don't realize that they're traps. You don't realize that they're kind of evil they're injecting, because they're the same thing as us. They look like us. We see them. We live with them. We engage our day-to-day life with them. They seem to us as if any other person. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us about what? They are from the jinn and the mankind. So don't be deceived. Don't be deceived. Don't be like a lost sheep. Always make sure that you're aware that even the humans themselves can push you away. Even your comrades around you, that's why it's so important to have such good comradeship. To make sure they are on the deen, that they're with those things that will keep you on the deen as well. And you should never be naive. You should never have this idea of ignorance that I won't be swayed by another human. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us himself. He told us what? Among the jinn and mankind, what they will do? Mischief as a slinking prompter. A person that secretly talks to you and secretively, and then who whispers in the hearts of mankind. That's amongst the humans as well. And it's really critical that a lot of us really do forget. We really do forget the point. We always talk about jinn, shaitan pushed me this, shaitan pushed me that. But another big aspect of the humans, and that sometimes is a much scarier thought, a much more, like a very dangerous concept to completely be oblivious and ignorant about. It really is important. But what I want to give notice to is that what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end talks about that concept of evil, the source of the evil, how it's done. But what's very important to notice is that in the very first 3 ayat, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala points out, what? Say, He's commanding us, say, I seek refuge in the Lord of mankind, the King of mankind, the God of mankind. What's being said here? What does that mean? That before you ever think that, oh, I'm gonna be swayed by shaitan, I'm gonna be swayed by the human quote unquote jinn around me that are pushing me away, realize, have tawakkul, have conviction that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one you seek refuge in difficulty. He is the one, the King of mankind, the God of mankind. So if you seek refuge in Him, inshaAllah, you won't have worries about the jinn affecting you, about the human jinn affecting you. And that's why He starts a surah, Allah starts a surah with that phrase, say, I seek refuge in the Lord of mankind. He's putting that in your heart. He's making you itmatnan, what's a good way to say itmatnan?
Calamity?
No, itmatnan. Like a sense of calmness,
Reliance.
a sense of reliance and reliability that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what? He is the one that provides. He was going to help me. He is a source of refuge for me. So when I'm in a tough situation, I shouldn't reach out to someone else. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the all-powerful. He is unlimited. Anything that I can think any human can help, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do it a million times better. And that's selling it really short as well. That's how important it is. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, another thing as well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us He doesn't test us with things that we can't handle. Every person is tested with what they can handle. So now it's up to us to be aware of what we're doing. It's up to us how we shape our mentality, our mindset. It's up to us who we rely on when we're in trouble. And it's up to us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He didn't tell us, He didn't ignore us and tell us, He didn't even tell us what kind of form of evil we're going to be facing. What kind of test are we going to be facing? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us clearly, the evil that you're going to face is from the human and the jinn. And they will do this. He told you the nature of the evil. It's not like He left us to dry and without no knowledge whatsoever of who this evil is, how we counter the act of this evil. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave us all the knowledge we need to attain what? Jannah. To live successfully in this life. And successfully in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He told us a cheat sheet. He gave it to us. And if you think about it, it's basically an in-depth, it's an analysis on, imagine when you play a sport of any kind, you want to go to a game, right? What's a very critical aspect of also developing yourself and all that kind of stuff and making sure your team is strong and everything? What? Understanding the enemy, right? Understanding the opposite team. What did they do? What's their main points? What their weaknesses? All that kind of stuff. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us a whole analysis on our main enemy in this life. Our main struggle in this life. He told us the way you counteract it is this, and this. Seeking refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Understanding, don't be naive. Realize that the jinn can also be amongst us humans. And inshallah, that point is delivered, and I'm going to leave the floor open for any Q&A or comments, inshallah.